Hello. We're back again for another Sunday vibe coding session.
Hi, Simon.
How's it going, Norbert? You all right?
Good. How about you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Happy Easter.
Indeed.
That time of year.
Happy Easter to everybody. And yeah, I think today is just going to be some chill vibe coding at Easter. Maybe we'll have some fun Easter references. I don't know. Let's see what happens. And yeah. So let me see. I need to share my screen.
I'm going to put some notifications out while you're doing that.
Cool. There we go. Okay, cool. Today's vibe coding session, I did think about a couple of things that we can implement. I haven't decided anything just yet, but let me pull out the Figma that we have and let's bring everybody up to speed what we did last stream. So basically, for anybody who has joined the stream for the first time, I'm trying to attempt building a roguelike deck building game in Flutter, pure Flutter, without writing a single line of code. Last stream, we implemented basic cards, the structure, and kind of a couple of cards. And I actually accidentally wrote 2 commit messages by hand and I renamed one file, but apart from that, everything was AI vibe coded. Because I know that question will probably come up. We're using mostly Gemini 2.5 Pro, but also sometimes if it may just act up and not generate any code for us, we may switch to Claude 3.7. Yeah, so let's see what we got. This is the Figma, and this was I prepared this ahead of the first stream. I was just iterating on a couple of ideas. So the game concept is a roguelike deck builder. For anybody who played games like Slay the Spire or Balatro, it's kind of in that area, but very much focused on mobile development. So it's going to be full of puns, jokes, and all the fun stuff you, as a mobile or general, it's not really just mobile, but general developer would face day to day. The base concept is that you have a deck of cards like these. And using those cards, you have to play them in some sort of manner that you get a bunch of
Can you
users
zoom in a
each
bit
turn.
more? Let's get a good view of those cards.
Right, let me switch over to the ones. These ones got bugged. So yeah, let's say you have this marketing card, and your goal is to get as many users as quickly as possible. And every couple of rounds, there's a kind of a KO where you need to hit a certain number of users. If you don't, you will just lose. And the kind of general way you accomplish that, and the details are very much open. So if anybody has any suggestions or ideas, put them in chat, put them into, there's a GitHub repository. The whole thing is going to be open source, or already is. I made an issue template. Wait, let me open this up. I created an issue template where you can go in, click on new issue, and there's a card idea. So if you have a card idea, feel free to open an issue and put it on there. If you just want to check out the code, it's all on GitHub. But yeah, coming back, the base idea is kind of you need to play cards to get features. And to do that, usually most of the cards function in a way that you play feature cards. These don't really do too much on their own. They may give you utilities like drawing cards or doing things. And then you play marketing cards, and they give you users based on how many features you played, what kind of features you played / implemented. So that's kind of the general idea. There's also bug cards, which happen if you, for example, implement too many features or implement certain things using weird strategies. And there's also utility cards, which kind of bridge everything together, which might clean up bugs, which might introduce more bugs. So that's the general idea. Let me open up the code. This is basically how far we got last stream. We implemented the base card models. We implemented some cards. We didn't implement the effects of the card just yet, only kind of the structure and so on. We have our base game state set up using...
You might need to make your font a little bit larger.
Oh, that's a good idea. Where is it? Where is it? View. Zen mode? Zoom in. Okay, that should be fine, right? I want to go even more.
Go one more. Let's see.
Okay, appearance, zoom in. Wow, so big. Okay, that should be more than enough. So basically, we implemented our base game logic without going too much into details. I gave DI a document that we wrote before to implement all of this. We actually also implemented tests. So this is actually production level code, so to say. But all of this is kind of subject to change. Where we implemented the notion of drawing cards, discarding cards, playing them. We added a couple of cards using their correct assets, which we have over here. We also, using Byte, like we're going to be using Byte, and it's sometimes we may use its AI features, sometimes the NPC I built for it. Quick context, Byte is the AI IDE kind of thingy that I'm currently building. Almost ready with a new release that's gonna have web support. So right now you need to install it on your, it's only supports Macs, but I really wanted to reduce friction and kind of get it out there as easily as possible. So I've been spending a lot of time getting this working on web, and I've made great progress. It's just a couple of small things left to do, and you're just gonna be able to spin up an instance like this, prompt the AI to implement a screen for you, and then kind of have this Figma-like canvas that you can move around, that you can interact with the different widgets and kind of see how they work in isolation without having to have your whole app open. speaking about the whole app, it looks rather ugly right now because it's mostly a placeholder. We have nice animating cards in the hand, and we can, I think, play them kind of. It looks very ugly right now. I think that's about it, what we did last stream. And this stream, I have a few notes, but I'm very much open to work on whatever we want to work on. So first off, I think it would be nice to implement our first cards that actually resolve and give you users, that give you effects, cost you time, and kind of get the basic game loop running. In the Figma, which I of course closed already, let me open this up first, like this. I actually implemented, and I really like these. I implemented this graphic of how time might be visualized, and I think we're gonna use this. Actually, it's pretty fun how I did this. So I've been using, even for all the graphics, I've been using AI, of course, and with GPT-4o, I just vibed around and tried a bunch of different designs until I found something that I think looks nice. And then I just went ahead and exported the graphic and re-implemented it in Figma. So we have actual nice components that we can see how like different sizes look like. And I might be very tempted. I set it up before, but I'm not sure if it's still working right now, to use a Figma MCP, where we're just going to tell the AI, implement this design, and it's going to have access to all the different values and colors and so on. So that's something we can implement. I also thought about implementing like basic animations, because it's a game. Animations are at its core. I don't think we need to go into polish too much, but just having cards pop out, kind of move around and so on could be fun. And yeah, that's kind of the plan for today.
Tell you what I just noticed, which is kind of interesting. That last bar you've got there, the right side looks like it's slightly stretched. It might just be me, because the background's been stretched over, right?
Oh
So
yeah,
the right hand side looks slightly fatter than the top and bottom, right? The gray line.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, right. I think I just messed up the corner radius.
No. I was going to say something you can do with an original image, which is something that a lot of people, this is exactly what it's meant for. The image which it has a parameter called center slice. Have you ever used it before?
Oh yeah, I have. I'm just wondering if we want to export this as an image, or if we want to re-implement it
using custom this if you export the original bar as an image without any dots in it, right? Then you center slice to indicate where the center is. It will stretch it properly without distortion.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah.
That might be a nice example of how to, and see if we can get the AI to understand that.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we correctly export it and kind of tell it the dimensions we want to use for all the bars, I don't see why it wouldn't be possible to do. Yeah. So let's get back into here. So Simon, what do you think? What's going to be the first thing that we want to tackle?
I'm trying to remember what the actual structure of the code is like, right? Because I wasn't here for the entire session last week, so.
Oh yeah, I can give you a quick run.
Maybe take just a quick run through the code. Do you want to full screen the editor for a second? I'll look through it.
Cool. So very basic. So we didn't go into too much depth just yet. We have our main game screen, which is just a widget, and most importantly, it has some UI, but that's the rather ugly UI you saw before. But it has a reference to a game controller, and the game controller is kind of this value notifier. So it's value notifier. It's similar to Qubit or other state management solutions that you might know. And it has this game state, which is basically the mutable state of the game right now. And in here we have a bunch of.
When you transition to a new state, you're doing essentially a copy with, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Can you just go to the copy with in there? Okay, so you're making unmodifiable lists of what's in there at the moment. Nice.
I didn't. Yeah, I did, but yeah.
Sure.
Exactly. So we have a bunch of functions to call. The release is kind of the most important one, because that function will resolve all the effects, all the user gains, and so on. we'll need to figure out a way how to incorporate animations, because right now it just transitions to from one state to another, but we might want a bunch of animations running during the transition. So we'll have to figure out how to best incorporate that. So with our controller, the way cards are built right now, we have a base card, which is this abstract class that has two methods that you need to override to create a new card. It's an onPlay and onResolve. These are kind of the two different things that can happen in a game. So first off, when you have a card in your hand and you play it, the onPlay will be called, and that might be null, so it might not do anything. So we may not want to force users to override this. And we have the onResolve, which happens after you release. Thinking about it, at some point in the future, we might also want to have an onDraw maybe, or on discard. So some cards will have an effect that happen on when they are drawn or discarded. But this is what we have right now. We have a bunch of cards with kind of placeholder implementation. We also have the concept of a card in play. So think of as card as just concept of a card, and a card in play. This model has a card and attaches an instance ID to it. This way, later on, for animations purposes and also for referencing purposes, we can actually reference specific cards.
So card in play itself should be generic. Like it should have a generic T on it, and then base card should actually be T that extends base card.
Yeah, we can do that. Of course, I almost got baited into writing it myself, but we're not going to do that. Cool.
Perfect.
Looks like a solid edit. Easy.
Ship it.
Way faster than writing it ourselves.
Sure.
What else do we have? Yeah, we have the card. Yeah, we have two widgets, which are pretty nice. We have the card hand and a game card widget, and that's it. So I think what I want to do first is just get this. I wouldn't necessarily say looking better.
Yeah. I mean, the question is, how do you see the play field looking, right? Like, how do you see this? Hand at the bottom of the screen is kind of obvious. You're saying we want obviously the current number of hours represented by the bar.
So this is kind of the layout I was aiming for. We may have some nice cards.
Why don't we implement that layout, make it visually appealing, right?
Yeah.
So we get the hour to do that, and then in the meantime, we're obviously going to be making widgets that are for the number at the top right is like the score ?
Yes, I mean it's a number of users, and that's essentially your score.
Basically your score. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's the number of users you've got, and then the sprint time is on the top left.
Yes. So I think what we could do is just get a widget that represents cards in play.
So you were talking about the. Sorry. I'm just. So just lay out the kind of basics of what you've got in your. You wrote up a document, not documentation, a plan around this, right?
Yeah.
Of how the behaviors you expected the behaviors to work, right?
I mean, none of it is really final, but like for a first.
That's fine. I'm just thinking about the fact that, yes, each turn you draw cards until your hand has 5. Do not discard. I feel like there's probably. Do you want it to? Once you've drawn 5, it plays them, or do you want it to join like a confirm button? So you can like bring them back into your deck if you want to change your hand back and forth until you have the perfect play.
No. I mean, what you have your cards that are on your hand, and you have to play cards to put them into the sprint. So you have to choose which cards to play.
Right, yes, I'm saying as soon as you choose one, that's playing the card. Yeah. Done.
Exactly.
You don't have like a set of cards you play at the same time.
I mean, you can play as many cards as you want as long as you have hours left. Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of where the hours come from.
And then you gain 3 energy called hours. Yeah. Play as many cards as you want within your hours limit. So okay, so the types. So why do we update the UI?
Yeah, so I want to get a very basic kind of UI rolling. Doesn't need to look fancy, but this right now is kind of not so much usable.
Export and bring your do you want to export and bring your assets in, and then we can then tell the AI to place them.
Yes. I mean, I'm thinking if it makes sense to kind of get the cards and play as a widget in first, because that has a bit of complexity where it may need to scale down the cards if there's many in play. Let's say you want to have like 20 cards, you play 20 cards in one turn, but that may be too much, going too much into detail. But maybe we'll just need to give the AI, like, make this look nice. Okay, I think that's simpler. Just start with the low-hanging fruits, and we can go from there later. So let's export. Let's export this, please. Thank you. Cool. We have cards. We also have, what do we call it? UI or general?
Play area.
Yeah, or let's go general.
Game.
I think it's. Yeah. No, I'm already on general. So then, do we need anything else? I mean, we can get these in a placeholder.
I feel like it'd be nice to have the backgrounds of the two bars at the top without the numbers and the pips.
Yes. You mean as a like 9-patch center aligned?
Yeah, there's an image, and we'll see if we can get to a center slice. If we can't, then we'll get to render it ourselves, right?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Then let me just.
You can always do a smaller image. You don't need a large one, right?
Yeah, sure. Let's. Cool. This we can export. Oh my god. Figma. Okay, how do I make this?
I
mean, I'm trying to export it, but
why
without it being like
the one that's smaller above? And is that an image? What's that?
No, that's a Figma thing, but we don't want the pips to be in there.
Undo. Put it back to full width. Right, hang on. Right, so delete the pips.
Dang it. Or you want to just
click on the background? Right. Yeah, bring that out to the right. Bring it to the right. Full width of the frame. There you go. Now select the frame and bring it smaller. The group's not in the frame. Move the groups inside the frame below.
This one. Wait, let me give me a sec.
Which frame is it for? Yeah.
This is a frame and this is a group, but we actually want this to be a group.
Delete the frame. Move whatever's inside the frame out. Still, you've got a frame with stuff in.
Yeah, let me just frame this.
Yeah.
We can move this out. And now we can do this, but this is a frame now. Ta-da.
Ta-da. Perfect.
Okay, then let's get this one in here. Okay, we need to give them names, but do we want to? Okay, let's.
Are we going to use the names energy? I feel like you were using it in your guide. You used the term energy for the bar, right?
I mean, I'd like to have them as hours because that's how they are.
No, I was thinking about terminology-wise. It's nice then because you can describe energy as like the bar, and then hours is what you're putting in it, kind of thing. Whatever you want.
Oh, I see what you mean. Let's call it hours bar. Okay, let's say like this. Renaming files is fair game. We don't need an AI for that. It's not writing any code, so that should be fine. Then we have the desk. So now we need to wait. Oh, I opened it twice. Anyways, now we need a pip, which we can get from here. And we can call this not energy power. Okay, do we need any other assets? Yes, we can do the same with this. Let's delete this. Getting assets in. Yeah, this should be automated. I mean, honestly, it would be feasible to use the Figma MCP, but well, a bit of manual work is allowed. Users bar, and then in there, I'm thinking if we should keep the icon in there too. I think so. I mean, yeah, that's actually better.
Yeah, definitely. Unless you plan to change the color of the icon or something else, like keep it in
Not
there.
right now.
Maybe keep it in there for now. We can always change it later, right?
Cool then. Users bar. Cool. So let's prepare a prompt, shall we? Okay, this one's gonna be juicy. Let's work on the general.
Someone asked for roadmaps to do with Flutter. Unrelated to topic here, but I'll post them in the chat for those who are interested in understanding more how to use Flutter. It does explain about vibe coding though, which is our main thing for today. There's two good roadmaps.
Cool. So let's give it a screenshot of what we want.
Oh, nice, cool.
Okay, cool. Then we want to specify what kind of widgets it should create.
You could say you want it responsive and flexible. Scale.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, we don't really know, like we attached a desktop image, so it should try to make it responsive, but if only desktop is nice, then that's kind of the main goal for now. We want to create the following widgets: a user counter, a user number widget, and we also want an hours available widget. Please come up with good widget names. I suck. I sometimes like to do that to kind of give it an example name that I would come up with, but tell it explicitly that's a bad name. Please choose something that's better. Available. Okay,
you could say use the images provided for the backgrounds.
Yes.
And using center slice to keep to ensure the widgets are not stretched.
Hours bar, our pip. Center slice.
Slice. S-L-I-C-E.
Slice. Yeah. And make sure they fit different content. Varying. Who cares about typos? Okay, is there anything else? We have the back of the cards, which we haven't really...
I was going to say, the back of the card, did you export that?
I didn't. I'm not sure. Do I want to use this? This was kind of one of the
like
first
that. I honestly like the
drafts.
idea of having it there because you could animate them into the screen, right? Like,
let's keep the back of the cards. Yeah, for sure. But let's keep the back of the cards out for now. I think that's too much in one prompt.
But it's in the screenshot you gave it, right? Yes, it's
back of the cards for now. What else is there? We also want create.
You can also tell it to reuse the card hands widget that you have right now?
I'm not sure if you want to reuse it because I mean it serves different purposes. The card enhance has like an arch, but the
I thought that's what
cards
you wanted to
in...
play at the bottom there on the desk. But okay.
Oh no, it should like what I'm talking about is these cards.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, but tell it to use the widget you already have for the bottom set of 5.
But I
Otherwise,
mean,
might make a
it
new
serves
widget.
different purposes. The this widget is kind of your hand, and it serves a different purpose.
No,
But
don't you have a widget for that already?
Yes, I do, but I think it should be different because this one should potentially scale the cards down if you have too many, like position them in a grid maybe, or
No, I'm agreeing with
more...
you. Now, what I'm trying to say is, you want to get the AI to continue to use the same widget that you already have for the bottom set of 5. That's what I'm saying.
No, I don't think so. It should create a new one.
Okay.
It should reuse the cards themselves, but it shouldn't reuse the what is it called? Card for
Whatever you
cards
want.
in Sprint.
I thought cards in Sprint was a new one, and then the card hand for the bottom stuff. But
yeah, that's what I meant. Or
I think we're on the same page.
okay, yeah. Which are a number of cards which are current this sprint. So now let's give it... Honestly, the game is pretty small, so let's just give it all the context there is before implementing it. Ask me relevant questions. I like to do this. Cool. Let's send it off. Yep. Now we have a bit of time.
Does it take longer? It comes back with the reply already. But does it take longer do you think, to come up with a solution the more context you give it?
That's a good question. I mean, depends. If
Like all
using that
software,
context...
it depends.
Yeah, I mean, if using that context, it's gonna require to give you a more sophisticated answer, then yes. But if you just give it lots of context to calculate the value of adding 1 + 1, it's probably gonna just output that. So I don't really think it's like necessarily connected. Okay, I see the vision. Ooh, it has a vision. Oh, there's a question for junior Flutter dev. What's your suggestion?
I don't know if that means what's your suggestion for a roadmap, because that was previously asked, or what is your suggestions in general around AI, I guess.
Yeah. What exactly do you mean? I mean, when it comes to AI, use it, but don't rely on it. Like, you should be able to build your stuff without AI, but of course, don't pretend it's not there because it's just way too good not to use it. Yeah, just replace fresh and junior developer.
Nah.
I mean, an AI it cannot really learn if no new models come out. Like, developers, they learn and they become like better developers. So I wouldn't say that's...
I mean, a good example of this is we're telling it what we want to do, right? And when it comes up with questions, we can answer them. It still doesn't take away from the development process, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, to be fair, models are getting progressively better, where they can like do more and more complicated things. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a tool. Like, an AI doesn't have an agenda on its own. Like, it doesn't want to do stuff. You, as a kind of developer, are the person driving whatever you want to do.
So it's now asking the questions you asked it to answer, right? So now you need to answer each point.
Exactly. So let's see what it asked. Center slice coordinates for the hours bar and use. Do you have a specific rect coordinate left top? Oh, it's a good question. If not, I can make reasonable guess based on the images. I mean,
Tell it to make a reasonable guess. Yeah.
By the way, it's just typo. This is not some magic prompting trick.
Do it. Capitals. You must do it now. Shout at it.
No, we're nice to our AI. Hours visualization. In the hours, how exactly should the hour pip PNG represent an hour? Should it display pips for maximum hours? Ooh, yeah, it should remove them if they're not in there. Current nodes indicate relative to the maximum. Oh, okay. So it's basically asking if we have like empty pips, because it kind of makes sense. If you just remove them, you don't see how many were there before.
Yeah, so do you want to grey them out, right? That's the other suggestion it's got.
But I think for now, you can just remove it. I think that's fine, so we don't have to design anything. Right now...
You can ask it to grey it automatically and see if it does color filter.
Yeah, it will probably do, but I think like it... Or, yeah, okay, let's do it. Gray the ones spent out. Numeric values. Should the hour indicator widget use display numbers?
It should be grey out the one spent.
Oh, yeah. Should the hours indicator widget and user display the number to the graph bars, or should the graphic stand alone? The graphic should stand alone, I think. It's a game. Cool. Sprint backlog card size. The cards in the sprint backlog area of the mockup look smaller than the hand cards. Do they? Oh, these ones are smaller.
Maybe it's mixing them up.
No, I think it's actually like these are a different dimension than these. I scaled them around, but I think we can just use the same size for now and see whatever.
You could say use existing cards dimensions, right? Yeah.
Sprint backlog action buttons. The mockup frame 3 doesn't include the place selected card and release buttons from the current implementation. Should I omit these? Okay, that's a good question, because we don't want a play card. We want... Okay, that's interesting. I know some deck builder games kind of allow you to drag the card.
Yeah.
But we might just want to press it. All right, let me see how other games do this.
So you hover over and it lifts the card up and you just tap on it to play it. I mean, that's fine if you make it when you hover over it brings it to the foreground and larger, for example, right?
Yeah, let me.
Depends on how fast you want the gameplay to go.
Yeah, I don't want.
Maybe for now, let's not overcomplexify this and just say to put the buttons in the bottom right.
I honestly don't like the buttons. I'd rather. Okay, let's do it like this. We can just make users press it, like hovering highlights it, but pressing it plays it. And if that feels clunky, I mean, we can always implement a undo.
No, that's fine. I was thinking about more like, why do we do a second pass at this and get it to do this and then apply that afterwards?
But yeah, let's change the select. But I really don't like that. The release button can be as simple as it is right now. Or okay, you're right. Let's just tell it to add these buttons.
It's at the bottom right of the screen.
Put them on the bottom right of the screen for now. Background image, should that serve as a background for the entire screen or just a lower portion? Lower portion. Cool.
Oh, you could tell it to use, you could tell it.
We can always stop.
No, but desktop.png is the whole thing, right? But
no, it's just. Right.
Oh, you want to just use for the lower portion of the screen? Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
I understand what it is.
I can check questions. Using Flutter for 4 years, took a break, and now with vibe coding, out of touch. Like honestly, if you try vibe coding like a full app without like any experience, it's gonna like I don't have good experience with like just fully vibe coding as of now. You need kind of some sort of guidance or some domain specific knowledge. So again, it's a tool, and it's a good tool that you can use, but it's not gonna do everything for you.
How do you? Here's the example, John. How do you evaluate the output of the AI? How do you know how good it is? How do you know if it's done something correctly? Right? Like it's a tool. It's done stuff for you, sure, but equally, you need to understand. Still need to understand and read the code and choose whether it's good or bad or does exactly what you want it to or ask for something different. So it is just a tool.
Yes.
I also think we're taking it to the nth degree on purpose, just for the fun of it, right? Which is fully vibe coding everything. To be honest, like getting in there and typing a simple number here or changing something there is, of course, that's how you should be programming, right? Like you don't have to like get the AI to do everything, right? But I think that we're trying to take it to the nth degree and see what happens.
And again, like I think like vibe coding may be a bit of stretch. Like calling this vibe coding may be a bit of a stretch, because we are actually taking a look at the code. We're making technical decisions. We're kind of architecting what we want to do.
Yeah.
Like in like more, okay, I don't think you can call it traditional, because the whole concept of vibe coding is very much new. But you don't even take a look at the code. You just tell it how you feel or what you want changed. In our case,
I guess you can come up if you had like some of these tools. Is it Lovable and a few other ones where you can kind of like you describe what you're looking for, it does it, it shows the preview, and you can keep asking it to do changes and finally get to where you want to be.
Yep.
I guess that would be vibe coding.
Yes, that's like from my side, it feels like vibe coding is if you're at a point where you don't care about the code anymore, you just care about the outcome, then it's like more of vibe coding. I mean, this is still kind of vibe coding. We're not writing any code ourselves, but like this is also very similar how I like actually work with AI and like projects that I work on. Deep technical kind of knowledge and understanding and getting in there, but still like giving it a bunch of free roaming space. The repo is only 60%. You mean it's only 60%?
I guess 60% of the files are Dart files, and I'm going to say, yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so if you look in here, there's a bunch of C++. That's just because of the Windows embedded, I think, which has a bunch of
you got Windows, Mac OS,
and
Linux folder.
Exactly, like we have a bunch of CMake. It's web, Windows, macOS, Linux. Those are the ones contributing all the non-Dart files. Everything else is pretty much Dart, apart from some of the configuration files and some assets. So anything we've written is Dart. We haven't touched any of the other code. But okay, before we take a look at this code, before we take a look at this code, let's just
shouldn't they be removed by GitHub? Why? I want them in there. They're part of the source code.
I mean, you want it in there because it's generated code, but it's only generated once, so you are essentially free to modify it and kind of adjust it to your application. It's more of like a shortcut for you not to worry about all the details.
I mean, yeah. To say, probably, I will say that, you know, if you're not doing a Linux build, you don't expect to be doing a Linux build, right? At least immediately delete it, right? Like you can delete the Linux folder. It's not going to do any harm to building it, right? And if you want to later add it, you can do Flutter create dot in the current directory and recreate the folders.
So, by the way, looking at this, there's some issues with the center slice, and for this we can now use one of Vite's cool, like I wouldn't call it features, but we can tell cursor to use Vite MCP to place, and we also wanted to place the user counter.
You need to
it's having some issues.
First.
Sorry?
You need to accept these changes first before you can.
I don't. So this is a nice thing. It's basically, so what Cursor is doing, they call it, I think, a shadow Git thing. So this is kind of like a Git commit that hasn't been applied to your stuff yet, but it can just keep going. So I really like this. I like to accept it when I feel like it's in a state that I'm sure I want to keep this. Right now it's in a state we have some bugs, we have some issues, so I'll just keep on going. We'll add. And what we can do is if we like a file where we move somewhere and this is fine, then we can accept this specific file just to get it out of this context kind of. But like, I don't see a reason to accept it right now until it's perfect. So, okay, it tries to place it, but it needs to create a wrapper first. I need to update the MCP with kind of updated usage instructions for it. Because now it's create a wrapper first. That kind of, I think, in one of the recent changes, I forgot to mention it to it. So basically what I told it to do is Vite has a system of like having wrapper files, or whatever you want to call them, which are just these files that wrap your specific widgets and give your AI kind of this canvas, and you've hit your hard limit. Wow. Okay, one sec.
Using
I used way too much tokens this month. Give me one sec.
switch away for a minute. Let's bring it. I'm going to go through this and see what we got in the chat whilst you're doing that.
Yep.
The concept is the same, but it's an advantage to know the basics and manual coding. What I'm trying to say is, as a programmer, you need to be competitive and catch up on everything I missed. Yeah, I mean, like, I think on this point, just generally speaking, all programming is a catch-up game, right? So new technologies, new platforms, new frameworks all come out all the time, and you need to stay current. So I don't think many people realize, but you need to be spending a good 10% at least of your time reading up and learning new things all the time, if not more. And if you're doing it on the job, and it's to do with your job, then you should probably be doing it during work hours as well, right? There is room for this, right? There needs to be room for this kind of like learning that is part of the role. So yeah, technology is constantly evolving. If you don't make up for these days, you've missed it and you'll get left behind. I don't think making up is the wrong term, right? Like it's not like you have to learn everything that's happened, right? I think that's a problem. Because you can never make up that time, right? But what you can do is learn what's currently going on right now, right? And then pick and choose the things that you're interested in, the things that you want to know about. You're never going to learn every framework that's out there. You're never going to learn every language that's out there. You're never going to learn everything that's out there because it's too much. So you're always going to have to pick and choose.
Exactly. And I think at this point, you have to be careful where you spend your time, obviously. But like AI is here to stay. And I think it's definitely like time well spent to figuring out how it works and what it does. So basically, by the way, what is happening here is it's using
I
the
switched away
Vibe
from the screen. I switched away from the screen share whilst you were doing whatever you need to do.
Okay.
So
don't worry. Okay.
let's just
In the
carry on some
background,
questions here, and then we'll jump back over.
Yep.
Yes, it's definitely part of our job as a software engineer to be on the edge, be on the bleeding edge, as they say. Java and C hasn't changed much. I don't know. I'm told Java's changed quite a bit, and C hasn't, but C++ has evolved quite a lot. And C++ is the natural successor to C. It is a different language, mind you, as it were. Yeah, it helps to skim Hacker News. There's several like news sites you want to kind of keep up to date with around like technology.
Oh yeah, Hacker News is I'm on there all the time.
Yeah. All right, should we switch back over to the screen share?
Sure. I can show you what I'm battling with. So basically, it did a bunch of passes. Use divide MCP to reload, do some changes, and then place the widget. And what Byte essentially doing is it's when it's trying to place a widget and there's an error in the first couple of frames, it just reports it back and tells the AI, hey, something went wrong, probably some substantial layout issue. So it iterated a bunch and tried a bunch of different things. Essentially, it failed, and it's like was a weird thing that's going on. I think it's because it's just having a weird, like it doesn't know the dimension of the image. So what I'm doing right now is just telling it what dimension is. Let me open this up.
So that's in your.
Yes. So this. So basically, yeah, I just glossed over it. So basically, what an MCP is, it's this kind of new way by. It's a protocol designed and kind of proposed by Anthropic to connect AIs and LLMs in like an agnostic fashion, where you don't have to worry about the nitty-gritty details, but you give an API, a protocol to AIs to talk to to each other. And so what I did is in Vite, there's an MCP server running. And in here, I set up an MCP, like Cursor is an MCP client, and I set up the server connection. So it can actually natively talk, or at least the AI can natively talk to this process and what's in there. And there's a bunch of useful functions, such as it can call a reload. This is just typical hot reload. It can do things like place widget. So it's calling place widget with the widget ID that it created beforehand, and that was reloaded in using the reload call. And what my MCP server is then doing is kind of giving it feedback what happened. So try to place it. There was some error. Please try again. So this is what happened a bunch. Can you fix the issues? Okay, we can also check out the code so it's not running into a completely weird direction. We have our syndicator widget. It's using a center slice. It's doing the pips decoration center slice. It looks good, but something is just weird. So let's see if maybe it's just a dimension issue.
What was the error it said about box fit? It might be that the center slice is based on its appearance, its pixel appearance, and not on the source. That would be strange, though.
It's used a pretty small center slice, so I think that's probably, it could be an issue. I don't know. Let's see what happens.
So yeah, see what happens.
I mean, we're not here to debug ourselves. We're here to let the AI debug. Okay, let's see. Center slice was used with a box fit that does not guarantee the image is fully visible. This is quite puzzling. The center slice insertion is still occurring, even with the correct image dimensions using calculate size.
Well, hang on. What was the actual error? Says source size equals input size.
I mean, let's check out the code and see what is going on. I mean, in this case, it's just, I think I know what the issue is. Please add constraints around the widget. Or, I mean, actually it should correctly constrain itself, right? Because it's an image.
No, because it can be stretchable. Add in, please add a size box around the image that matches, and then give it the dimensions of the original image.
I mean, it has a context. It can just. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this is the thing. Like, if you don't know what center slice or any of this is, it's going to be hard to debug what might be an issue. And if the AI kind of starts running in circles, it's kind of hard to get it out without giving it some more context or information. So it's just nice to know what's going on. Okay, it's wrapping into the material app. It's putting this in here and setting a size itself.
Oh.
No, this is from before, I think. Let's remove this. Huh. This is weird. This is really weird.
Do a box fit fill.
And let me see. Just double checking there is no bug in kind of the. No, it's. Okay, we're not going to debug this. Like, we're not going to think about it. Please debug this by creating different variations of the widget with debug info and try to pinpoint the issue. You have all the tools, my child. So this is actually a thing that I want to experiment more with in Vide. So I've been working a lot on kind of getting the Vide AI in here, like working really well. And I just want to see how we can kind of give the AI all the tools and all the knowledge and even the confidence. Sometimes it just tells you, no, I cannot do it. And you have to be like very supportive. Like a lot of the times the AI is supportive towards you, but sometimes you have to be supportive towards the UI. And like there's like, I like to try this sometimes where it's just try, like as a human, what you would do is you would think of like what could be wrong, then you try out a widget that might oh, there you go. Oh, nice. There you go. So okay. you just play around with kind of what works, what doesn't work, and now it's creating a bunch of variations, and we can check out what's happening. And this is nice.
So the top ones are without no slicing, right? Yeah, no slice, no slice.
Since we confirm is the direct cost person, the most reliable is the same. Okay, interesting. So, well, that's not good. Why doesn't want to do center slicing?
You can't figure it out. It's not
Can you
intelligent enough.
please experiment why center slicing is the problem? Come up with hypotheses. How do you write this? I think like this. Come up with hypotheses and test them and work. But this is actually a nice example of where AI breaks down on how you may be able to rescue it. So I actually like that we run into something that's a bit more difficult. And honestly, I don't think this is like a lot of like, I don't know, maybe I would be struggling with the same issues if I were to implement it myself. Maybe there's just some weird stuff going on. So let's see if it can kind of get itself out of this place. Oh yeah, that's a good question. How to maintain and structure project while vibe coding? I mean, right now AI is great, but it kind of breaks down when you ask it too much. So right now, I think the best is kind of to either have a very rigid system on how you build stuff, and you don't deviate from that at all, which like in reality is hard because there's always edge cases, and in this specific instance we need to do this hack or whatever. But either that or you just have to be like looking at it, refactoring it, and just making sure that you're working on it yourself too. I mean, I like to structure code. I mean, that's just general code practices which are good. Like you want to write code that is like components. You don't want your app to be a god class. You want modules. You want anything that helps you as a human write and read better code will also help the AI. So I think at this point you just need to. Okay, it's having issues, but it's nice to see it's writing out hypotheses. Oh, I need to really investigate this way of debugging. Check this out. It's coming
Tell you
up
what it tried.
with hypotheses, explicit sizing conflict. It's writing tests, like a test that executes the tests, and then it has like a conclusion: result of test one failed. Interesting. Wow, this is really impressive, honestly. Even though it didn't fix the issue, this is just impressive to see. Okay, so let's see what it recommendation given findings to. Is it a problem with write? I don't think so, actually.
I don't see how. If it's been, did you see the widget? Was it given a fixed width and height? Can you go back to the wrapper? It added them in. I think it added them as optional parameters. Oops.
Yeah, it in the build material app, it's optional, but
Yeah,
it's
but did
passing
it
one for
actually
every.
use width and height? Have they been specified?
Yeah, they have. And we can do a
And
full
what is
reload.
default height?
Oh, it's 60. It should be fine.
That sounds fine.
I mean, the asset is quite big.
I don't see how that would make any difference, but the error is what I'm interested in.
Yeah, it's this one. Okay, let's take the next weapon. We can just tell it to Google for you, and maybe there's a Stack Overflow where somebody had the same issue. So it may just come across one of those. Taskmaster. I haven't heard about that before. Is that kind of a tool
Show
itself,
task.
or is it more of a pattern? Do you know, Simon?
No, never heard of it.
Feel free to link it in the chat. I haven't heard about it before.
So apparently, sensor size throws an exception when scaling down.
This appears to be a known issue within the Flutter framework. Okay.
Do this. Yeah, set the widget size to the size of the image. Out of curiosity, do that.
Try setting the size in.
Then I'm thinking you can wrap. Then the idea being is that you could wrap the widget of the image widget of that size in a fitted box.
But to be perfectly fair with the AI, I think I remember me trying to get center slicing to work before some time, and I had a bunch of issues with it. So it might just. Oh, okay. We're making progress.
See, it doesn't make sense because the whole idea is that you want it to be any
So this
size.
actually might be an issue in the framework where it's having a weird behavior if the sizes don't match. But this one seemed to work. So what we can do now is take this image, put it in here, the last place.
Apparently, they saw this issue because of a rounding difference.
Huh.
It could be because the image is just way too big. Right?
Okay, let's just tell it how big the pips are. R136. I mean, we could clean up the assets for sure and make this more easily digestible, but that's also with cool. And then we can use a fitted box to kind of get it back down to something reasonable. Okay, let's see.
Well, if people want to upvote the issue, this is the issue. It's in the chat.
Right, how do I copy this? I can't. Huh. Anyways,
Want to copy the link?
I can just show it, but I cannot copy the link itself.
Check the private chat.
Okay. Okay, let's check this out. Yeah, it's an open issue. So, like, honestly, fair enough. I don't think it would have been easier if it did it by hand. Okay, what's going on?
Apparently, there is someone's built a package that you can use alternatively to this. So.
Do you have a link?
It was in that. There's one of the comments in that.
It's getting dark here. Actually, let me turn on the light. It's always the small things that take up a lot of time. Okay, what's happening? Oh
no, it's just
change class from const to non-const. Yes, interesting. Okay, this is fine. I don't think that's supposed to be possible. You cannot hot reload const to non-const. So what we have to do now is just do a restart. So let's see if this is working. Okay, we'll restart manually. And let's hope it places them on a canvas and they work. Thanks for restarting. Okay, it's getting there. Okay, now it tries to place up. We should stick to the approach to some extent by default. What do you mean by disabling? Default scaled. Use center slice. We want to use a center slice. Clean up the wrapper. Do use the center slice. And yes, let's see if that works. I mean, if not, but yeah, I think the center slice is nice, so we can easily change it from Figma. But I mean, we could always re-implement this in kind of a custom paint view, which I thought about at the beginning to do that, but yeah, using an image is probably nice, just so we have more control over how we want the graphic to be, and we can just go to Figma real quick to update stuff. So why is it still using a center slice? We always want to use a center slice. Tries to place the default scaled. Default scaled. Default scale, and it's using a center slice. Why is it not using a center slice? Okay. Ah, it's still generating. Never mind. Yeah, this whole 9 patch, or rather the center slice thing is... I think I remember running into very similar issues and being frustrated with it in the past. So this is totally understandable that the AI is also getting frustrated. But I mean, that's a nice thing. So what's also possible, which I really haven't tried too much of because that might be too much chaos, you can actually open multiple tabs, if I remember. Can you? Yes, I think it's just finished. So you can actually have multiple generations going on at the same time, I think. So what is going on over here? Oh, wait, this is weird. Okay, that's, yeah, at some point you just gotta take the lead and clean up. So I think like it was in one of the previous versions. I don't know if they removed it because it just accepted all the changes, but maybe that's kind of the limitation. You can have multiple chats running and have like multiple agents work on different parts of the app. So I think I just want to store a new context so it's not getting confused. So let's give it some very specific tasks. This should always use the center slice. Let's check. It is using a fitted box, constraints, that's fine. We want to focus on this. We can close this, clean this up. Because I think the one that was working before was the one with center slice. Ah, this is annoying. Okay, I guess that works. But I don't want to have it in a constructor because what's the point if we always want to use it? Bah. Okay. Actually, what we can do is we can take this issue link, check out this. And then we can also copy all of this, and maybe, I thought it worked before, but maybe that was just, one of the other widgets that it kind of snuck in. It's too big. I guess this works. Yeah, test-driven development. That's great. Like, I really like to do that when I have a component where it's possible. I feel like it's not always possible to do like fully test-driven development. Like, it's really great with kind of, in our case, for the controller. If you check this out, game controller, this is just one class that has a bunch of logic. And for this, we actually instructed it to write tests. And we ran them all, and they actually failed. Like, some of them failed, and it noticed that, and then kind of fixed that. So that's pretty nice. But for this, tests are great. For UI, I mean, especially if you're kind of vibe coding and you just want to see what looks great, what doesn't, you may figure some structure out yourself. You don't necessarily know what you want, so maybe tests may not be that helpful, but it always depends, as always. Simon, the center slice is just annoying it. What do you think?
Skip it.
Skip it? Yeah, I think so too.
Make them fixed size and wrap them in a fitted box. Done.
No. Center slices are broken. Just do it without somehow. Thanks. I'm putting the blame on the framework and not the AI. You did great. Okay, cool. So while that is happening, we can think about what we're gonna do next. So this actually looks rather nice, I think. Oh yeah, okay, wow. Did this? I mean, this worked before, or was it? Oh, wow, now it works. Okay, yeah, I guess it's not using the center slice. I guess it's a bit scuffed, but like, we can fix this later. It kind of gets the point across. It's nice. It kind of did the grayed out thing, which doesn't look too good, to be honest, but I guess it's in there. And we have the user indicator over at the top. So I think that's a good base. So if we then play a card, it's over there, and the second card is gone. Interesting. And then we do a release and stuff happens. Okay, cool. But we can fix this and worry about this in a minute. So let's just accept this all, and we can commit. So right now, I don't really want to commit all the Vite files just to keep the repository reproducible and easy. But at some later point, I might do so. It's currently like adding.
The thanks and please in prompts cost them million.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I saw that tweet, but I think he also said like it's a nice thing to have some kindness in the world, and it's worth it. So let me just add the relevant files. Or okay, let's just commit later. Or no, that's a bad idea, I think. Let's commit now. The problem is via this currently, I already changed this, but I'm running on an old version just so we're not running any cutting edge issues. It's currently adding a dependency in here, but as I said, that's already been removed in the newer version. We got this. Why is the Linux stuff being updated? Oh yeah, because of the Vite stuff. Don't worry about this. Camera storage, we don't need this. Current storage, blah, blah, blah. Cool. I almost typed the commit message myself. Almost. That looks good. Cool. So next up, let's see how this goes. I would like us to have, because I want to have some kind of setup widget on the canvas, so we don't have to start from blank state all the time. So let's move. Okay, actually delete this. These are so ugly. We want the AI to create a wrapper for our main game and kind of set it up with a controller that is already pre-initialized with more than 3 hours that we can play and kind of certain things. So create a wrapper for this using void and place it on the canvas. Make it so there are 10 hours to play. I think that should be enough. Let's just add MCP over here so it's double sure that it's using that. Let me open my notes and see what else we got planned. Yeah, I think it's about time to implement some of the actual logic and some of the play and resolve effects. So this is a great kind of start over here. So let's see, I think we also need a good way to instrument our controller and kind of give it some initial state, but I think that should be possible in the constructor. No, it's not. Maybe it needs to adjust it a bit, or let's see how it deals with this. It's thinking a bunch. Delete. Yeah, okay. Oh, I think it was using some old format. Main game screen. Oh, it's using the tools. Only. Did it reload? Oh no, yeah. Okay, so send a mobile, which is fine, but we don't want mobile, so it's not fine. Use a desktop dimension, not mobile. This is too small. And we also wanted to kind of set up the controller, which we don't have a way to do right now. So let's add this back in. It's the main game screen. Nice. This looks terrible, but that's good. So what we want to do now is, did it change the number of hours we have in the game controller? Why do we have so many over here? Yeah, there we go. Game state. This is the initial game state. Interesting. So what we actually want to have is a way to kind of inject the initial game state. What I'm thinking, Simon, what do you think? Should we pass the controller to the main game screen so we can kind of set it up beforehand, or should we pass like an initial game state?
Sorry, say again. So
what I want to do is kind of set up the game state / controller from this thing. I'm just thinking, what do you think? Do we pass a game controller to the game screen that we can kind of set up first, or do we pass an initial game state? I think both would probably work.
Well, there's only going to be one controller. Do you actually want to use the controller outside of the game screen?
Not
you can always get
really.
You can always get the controller from the game screen once it's been initialized for testing purposes. So it might be just better to have the initial state passed in.
Right.
For like testing, right?
Yes.
I mean, there's look. You can do it both ways, right? I mean, inject the game controller that's game state is probably the easiest thing right now.
Yeah, I think that's the nicest. Okay, let's give it some context. So it makes a specialized edit. So what's important? Game state, we want to pass the game controller. Make it so the main game screen takes game controller and the liking for testing purposes. So in this case, I want to reject this because the initial game state should not contain that many hours. Probably, I don't know. But we want to have like a way to test. So now the fun part can slowly begin. Let's see if it's making all the right things. Game controller with state, which is nice. Yeah, I like that. So we have like a default constructor that does not take anything and just creates an initial, and we can pass it ourselves too, which looks good to me. We have a main game screen, and that is it's taking widget and it's referencing that. That's fine. Yeah, looks good. What is so it's in this builder, custom game state for testing, card registry. Okay, interesting. It's taking the tweet storm. Nice. Setting up a custom game state with the controller, and then we should have, if we reload this, okay, there's some issue. Manually, what did I read? Please correct it manually. How could I? Let's confirm correctly. We can try reloading via. Found this candidate, but arguments didn't match. What's going on? Let me just do full restart. Maybe Flutter/Dart is acting up. Okay, yeah, it seemed to be like some weird bug. Cool. So what do we actually
I've been
use
talking
it?
on mute. Wasn't that helpful?
Oh.
I was just saying, welcome to Randall.
Hi.
I'm gonna go
Hello there.
grab a bite to eat because it's my dinner time.
All right, have a good one.
Norbert has to stay as long as he wants to stay. So
Indeed.
I'll be back shortly.
Okay, cool. Hi, Randall. So, have you been following along? Do you know what we are doing?
Not today's show. I know the previous show.
Okay, cool. So I can get you up to speed. So basically, we continue working on the app, and we've been struggling a bit with the. We wanted to implement. Let me open it up over here. We got these two components, which is one that is kind of the hours available in the sprint, and we have the number of users. And we wanted to have them as kind of these center splice images, where you specify the background and you give it the rectangle to scale off of. And it just had issues, but like I think, or like it's some framework shenanigans, and the AI struggled. It tried a bunch, but I think we would have struggled as well. So now it looks a bit ugly, and we just thought to continue. And now the idea is to work on the actual game logic, so playing cards, having the effects being there, and so on. And right now I'm just trying to set up a testing environment where we can set up a game state without having to play the game up until that point every time. And yep, I think that's pretty much it. So what I don't understand right now is so basically we have this main game screen wrapper, which is initializing this thing, and it's looking for a tweet storm definition. And it's putting that into the hand, but in here we have a known bug in hand, which is kind of confusing me. So I'm just wondering, why is it searching for that? I mean, these are instances of that card. Do they have equality implemented? The base card should implement equality, right? Ooh, they don't. but that's an issue for another day. Let me open this up. Please use the card directly instead of searching for it. That's just, I don't know what's going on over there. So do you have any questions? Do you have any remarks? Do you want to see something implemented, Randall?
I'm just curious what model you're using right now.
It's Gemini.
Which Gemini?
The 2.5 Pro.
2.5 Pro, yeah. I've been having some pretty good results with 2.5 Flash. It's been quick, and thinking mode really actually takes it that last step.
Oh yeah, that's pretty nice too.
Very responsive.
What is happening over here? Why is it a known? Oh, is it because the known issue is a fallback? I don't know. Let's not debug it ourselves. That's kind of the whole stick thing. Is we're just gonna screenshot this, open this up. For some reason, you define the tweet storm, but on the hand, the known issue pops up. Why is that? And in this case, like, I feel like it could be because we have a fallback asset. Yeah, placeholder is an issue. So I think it's kind of defaulting to known issue. The placeholder.png is known issue card. So something is going wrong, and I think it could be connected to kind of the registry or so. But let's just take all of this, all the context, because the project is still pretty small, and let's see if I can figure out what the issue is. But while it is doing that, let's see.
It looks like Richard has a couple of nice things to say. I don't know if you've seen that there, like better to do test-driven development so that AI fixes tests. And also this one, which I found to be quite useful as well, is that you really want to have a PRD that gets initially created and then updated by you, and then you use that as a driver as you're building things.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think there's certainly different modes of using AI and kind of this whole vibe coding. Sometimes what I also like to do is just writing a prototype that I know it's going to be thrown away.
Right.
So I really do not care about the code. I know it's not going to be huge. So the context window is still going to be relatively manageable. So in that case, that's just starting. And if at any point it kind of gets out of hand, you can just restart the project because you only worked in it for like, I don't know, 15 minutes or so.
Yep.
So, but yeah, if you want to like write production code, it's probably better to kind of, just take more. Interesting. Check this out. The TweetStorm card doesn't have an asset just yet. So it's using the placeholder asset. That's why we're seeing it in hand. Interesting. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But it's nice that it's found what is going on.
Wow.
But let's find a card that has an asset so we're not confused all the time.
It's amazing how smart autocomplete can appear to be.
I mean, it's a question. What is the definition of intelligence? What is smartness?
Yes, maybe the gray matter in our head is just a giant autocomplete machine. We don't know.
Exactly.
There's no proof it's anything else yet. So there we go.
So let's go to implementation. So we want the dark mode card. I know this one has a nice asset. Yes. Okay, use instead. Okay, so because we want to work on a simple feature, the first combination that we can play is playing one feature card and playing one marketing card. So I think we also have marketing cards over here somewhere. We have the one with an asset, more specifically. Microtransaction, unread privacy policy. Don't we have a nice build in public? That's one. Yeah, that should be a good card. Build in public or just public. 100 users. That's unread privacy policy. I guess we can also use that. Cool. Okay. So we have a test card, which is dark mode card. Also put a few more dark modes into initial hand. So yeah, I mean, at this point, I could have put it in myself, but I want to stay true to the goal. No writing code.
No, it's worthy. It's an interesting test, definitely.
Okay, so it's reloading. We need to
Maybe this will
ourselves.
make you a better manager too. So when you have grunts working for you, you can know better how to do.
Yes. So what's interesting, the unread privacy policy, okay, that's just a card design. It's not a marketing card. That's why it's blue, but it's still giving us users. But that's fine. We can actually work with this now. So this is going to be fun. Let's accept all the changes. I like those. And I think we should also commit at this point. So again, there's a bunch of kind of generated things that I don't want to commit to as of now, but don't worry about those.
Yeah, I don't want to think how much this all costs, especially the environmental cost. I mean, how much energy are we burning up right now?
I just had to up my limit before, and since then we spent $6 for like the last hour or so. So yeah, like for the stream, I'm running on the most expensive model with all the context. Like I'm not doing any cost optimization right now.
Sure.
I think it's also nice to see how cheap we can get away. But I think kind of what I'm trying to see is how far we can get with whatever kind of we get. But
Right.
yeah, I've heard from people like people using like the most expensive models and like doing intense prompting and iterations. People do spend like $10 to $15 an hour with like the most expensive stuff. That's kind of the range that I've seen. Okay, we don't need a storage registry, kind of storage, blah blah blah. It's these cards. Yes.
Yeah, I know that RuCode has their boomerang mode now, which will ship just part of your problem into your context on each request rather than having the whole problem constantly be reloaded over and over again.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, so it'll cut down on costs. There's also some optional parts of the standard prompt system prompts that you can turn off if you're not going to use certain features. So
yeah, for sure.
That again saves, every token you're not parsing is saving you a microcent of some kind.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's lots of ways to optimize. It's always hard because it's a hard thing to optimize. It's quite hard to quantify what is better, what is worse. Like if you have two pieces of code which are similar and one has more or less context, so sometimes it's kind of hard to know what is better. And also, like if you just want to work on stuff, like what I find myself seeing is I just want the best thing. I just want it to work. Like I'm working on something productively, so I don't want to experiment too much and kind of going with the cheapest first. So I sometimes just use the most expensive and try to get the stuff done. But yeah, I agree. Like optimizing all of this is definitely interesting and important. Maybe we'll explore that in one of the future live streams and kind of compare how different models and how different kind of things compare in terms of intelligence.
If you could find engineers that cheap, hire them.
Okay, but so let's see. We have our cards and we want to implement them. So for this, let's load up our context. We have all cards, we have base cards. Let's also check in the game state and game controller, because why not? Like, by the way, over here in cursor, I'm paying per request. So it's 5 cents per request. So it doesn't really matter how big the context is. So I'm not really being careful with what I put in. I just try to chug everything in that's necessary. So that's that. So we have all of this. Let's implement the dark mode card and privacy policy card. Policy card. I think they didn't implement them before. Yes. Let's check. Does the game controller have functions such as add users? Card definition. Oh, interesting. It's doing card checks over here, which we definitely do not want. Okay. Refactor game controller. It should not do if. Right, let's close this so we have a bit more space. Checks. Do checks like these. We want that logic to reside. Cards themselves. So for this, please add functions in the controller to add users.
Kind of sometimes you want to take and like shake it by the shoulders and say, look, stop doing if tests or is tests anywhere. Just you've lost as soon as you start doing that.
I think now it's because this was a very early class where we didn't have this on player on resolve, so kind of resorted to this, which was fine at the time. But ever since we kind of implemented more of the logic, so I think this is kind of some code from the beginning. So I'm not too worried about it. Kind of understanding
the problem is the majority of the code out there is mediocre. So these get trained on a ton of mediocre code and not necessarily best practices.
But yeah, I think it's gonna understand what we want it to do.
Yeah.
So let's see. Okay, it's interesting. Yeah, I remember we set up this game context class, which interesting. Yes. So basically, what we're doing to kind of explain what it's trying to do right now is the on play and on resolve gets access to the game context object, which is not directly the game controller itself. So it kind of directly mutate that because we might want to have more things in there. So in the game context in the future, we might give it access to an animation system. So every card can decide how it wants to animate, how it wants to kind of maybe wants to show confetti for the user because it's a special card or so. So that's going to be accessed through the game context. And in here, it's getting a reference to the controller. Card in play. What is this? So instance being played resolved. I don't think we really need this one. Count features left of current. Interesting. Features left off. Okay, yeah, let's just reload and see what happens. No need to think about it. We can just check in the spirit of vibe coding. So what do we expect? We have 100 users right now. So if we play the unread privacy policy, we lose 1 hour because it takes 1 hour. Interesting if we scroll and it goes away anyways. I think the state resets when you scroll. Okay, that's a bug on my end. So this one's smaller, which is wrong. But if we then hit release, we have 200 users, a new turn started, and we have all the cards in our hands again, which is correct. What happened here? So this is pretty nice, actually. So we should be able to accept this. Game controller, we have gain hours, draw cards, count features in backlog, count cards of type in backlog. Okay, that's just a bunch of utility features. I'm thinking that these could probably be put into the game state itself, so we keep the controller itself slim. Yeah, actually like this. Put the getter style functions into mutable getters in game state, so we keep slim. So what I like to do is just, I think my preference is if we have some sort of immutable state, just chug in all the getters, all the things that give you some kind of information based on current state into that, because it's super easily unit testable, it's very easily mockable and so on, and we don't need to convolute our logic over here. And that's what I told it to do. By the way, Randall, do you have any card suggestions?
Oh, no, I haven't been following that well enough, and I'm not that creative. I'd be asking Gemini for ideas.
Okay, I can wait. I can get you up to speed on the game. So basically, it's a roguelike deck builder where you try to impress management by gaining a certain number of users in specific turns. And each turn consists of you playing cards and then resolving that. Kind of the wording of all of this is you play features, marketing things, utility things in a sprint, and then you release an update, and then kind of everything is resolved. And typically feature cards are more or less these, they just cost you something and they may give you card draw or so. But the actual way of getting users is by playing marketing cards, which are amplified by the number of feature cards you played before. So you try to pack in as many features as you can into a release, and then you try to do as much of marketing as possible. And you need to also be careful of bugs that may show up, which will clutter your hand and kind of have negative effects on you. And also you may need to play utility cards to do code cleanup and so on.
So wait, this is supposed to be fun? It sounds like my day job.
I mean, yes, but in a fun wrapping, you have lots of animations, you have a lot of fancy colors. So day job, but with colors.
Yeah, well, there's colors sometimes in my day job. You gotta look at it by your name there. Yeah, right.
Okay, so we play selected card, release, nothing happens. We get a new.
Oh, this is an interesting question. Do you mean go through last week's transcript and see what was suggested? That would be interesting. We could do
From
that.
the card suggestions, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had a few, and they are all noted down somewhere. I don't know where right now. But I don't think we will be able to implement too many new cards today. I think it's mostly going to be game mechanics. Hopefully next week we will feel free to. I think I'll just chug in all the suggestions we had from last week's chat into the GitHub template issues, whatever. If you have any more suggestions, ideas, feel free to open an issue. It's on GitHub. You can open this one up, go to issues, click new issue, and then do a card idea. And they are all going to be considered, and maybe they will find their way into the game.
Yeah.
So let's see. One thing that is not happening is if we play one of these, they should give you a card draw, but that's not happening. So if we go to the dark mode card. Oh, it does nothing. Okay, so then let's just continue implementing all the cards. Also, we want to have a test environment where we just have all the cards. We want to be able to test everything. So also create a new prototype that has cards.
Cool. This is also where I've gotten creative with interaction with the LLMs, is that at some point, if I'm not sure what direction I want to go, I just start asking it, so what's the next thing I should implement, or what other options here? And it's interesting. And I hope you can speak to this as well. There seems to start to be a dance between what you're telling it and what it's giving you back, and what you know how to ask for. The people who are claiming that they can create entire things with almost no knowledge are clearly creating sort of accidentally either great things, or they're creating mediocre things that are better than they would have done otherwise, and so they're happy. And would you agree to that, or is there something I'm missing on that?
I mean, I think it's certainly possible to build great stuff without kind of all the nitty-gritty details, but that's always been possible. Like if you take a look at a lot of great things that have been kind of built, like a lot of the times it's somebody with a passion and a lot of free time who just maybe brute force their way through. It's the same with AI. Like you can do a lot if you kind of spend the time iterating. If you have the knowledge and you know how to kind of guide it, and you know more how to fix things, it's just going to be quicker, better, and easier. But I think it's nice because AI allows you to kind of do things and prototype things that you may have not been able to do before, even though it may not be great because there's a bunch of like messy code or whatever. It may work to some degree.
And it seems like it's great in two main ways. One is that it handles the mechanical stuff for you faster than you can type it. And the second is that it can sometimes fill in a creativity gap if you're missing a possible solution to something.
Yes. Like sometimes, yeah, if I have no clue how to proceed or like how to implement the feature, I just give it all the context and I tell it my findings, my ideas, and just ask it, be creative, come up with something. Sometimes it turns out to be great. Sometimes it's just nonsense, but it's worth the shot.
So again, not much different from having a junior engineer nearby.
Yeah. So, okay, this is pretty annoying. We have a bunch of cards, but we didn't implement the actual card graphic for them. So we don't actually see or know which card is which. But I noticed an issue that we have. So if we have a hand with a lot of cards, which can happen, like there's cards that allow you to draw more cards. Yeah, we want the user to be able to see what's going on. So
scrolling. Need scrolling.
I thought just condensing them. So there's a bunch of kind of space right now. So I thought just making them go closer. So let's just ask the AI.
And you could have it grow on hover too. So you could, as you're swiping across, the card you're currently below is not just up, but also wider.
Yes, and also I think more importantly, and that was also suggested last week, it should be in the front. So it should kind of jump to the front.
Yeah.
So let's kind of implement that. We have our widget. We have card hand, which is our widget. So let's write a nice prompt. Card widget, and we also want to pass it the card. Card hand wrapper. Let's work on the card hand. Yay! Change the following things. Hovering over a card should
It'd be interesting to see what it does with it, about how you go from one card to the next, because they both need to be on the front then for a second.
What do you mean?
Well, if your mouse is between card 5 and card 6, both 5 and 6 need to be front then. How do you get both of those to be the front? You can't.
I was thinking that maybe only one card is at the front.
Well, I'm just curious to see how this implements it then.
Yes, but that's a good question because it is at the front. Should it kind of obstruct the hit testing? So if you stay on the card, it stays on the front, or should it kind of go to the back when you would move your cursor to the next card, which is now underneath? But let's see
Yeah.
how the idea is with this. Like, I think there's a bunch of ways to do this, but let's see.
So I'm also wondering, just in the past 10 minutes, I've asked you a lot of things. I'm wondering if the ability to pivot so easily just by typing English in at something means that we're going to get a lot more bike shedding where everybody gets a vote. Oh, no, work this way. Because it's so easy to just change a little bit of text instead of having to go off and program for a week.
Right. But I mean, that allows people and us to just explore more things. If you're building kind of whatever, it's this huge sea of possibilities, and you need to decide a single thing. But
Yes.
if the cost of kind of exploring is cheaper, you can explore way more before settling on what you like the best.
There are huge seas of opportunities, and we just hope we're not in a kayak.
Yeah. Do we want to have a max width? I'm pretty sure, yeah, because they fit. There should be an absolute maximum width for a hand cards.
And that might have been where I would ask the LLM. I might have said, I'm having problems here with too many cards. What are some of my options for how to be able to view more cards than comfortably fit?
Oh yeah, that's a great way.
Yeah.
In this case, I had like a vision in mind that I felt is the way it should be done. But like, if I saw this problem without having like an answer right away, then that's a great way to do it. And I noticed it giving like very reasonable and very intelligent answers to questions like these.
Yes. Yeah, I found
Um,
that about the 2.5 Pro model is it really its chain of thought working is just night and day over anything prior to that. And the 2.5 Flash generates roughly the same kind of content, same level of content, but much faster. So I think it's going to be another level game changer. It's just quick enough and cheap enough that I can use it for everything.
Yeah, I think cost is definitely a big argument. To be honest, I feel like the 2.5 Pro is also very quick. Like,
Yeah.
over here, I don't feel like I would need so much more speed, but of course, speed is always better. But yeah, I think like we've spent quite a bit by now. I think. Okay, let me check. During this live stream, okay, yeah, we spent $8
Yeah.
or a bit more, maybe 10 already. Okay, so check this out. Okay, some weird stuff is going on over here. Let's open the card hand. Oh wow. Interesting default.
Roll it back.
I don't know. I think we can save this.
Okay.
It may just have a very small max width. So let's see what it was using as max width. Nothing actually. It's using null. Use a reasonable max width. I think that might be the issue. Okay, 900, that's reasonable. What are you building on game engine? Nope, but no, I wouldn't call it a game engine. We're building a roguelike deck builder card game that is kind of a card game about building software, building apps, where you try to gain as many users as possible on every turn by playing marketing, feature cards, bug cards, utility cards. And it has classic roguelike and deck builder elements where you draw a number of cards, where you need to decide which ones to play. You have a certain number of hours each day. Each card costs you hours to play. They allow you to combo cards, draw more, discard more, and so on. Using pure Flutter, so we're not using any sort of kind of framework game engine whatsoever, just because I think that this is very kind of Fluttery, where we don't need a game loop, we don't need a bunch of fancy collisions or so on. It's mostly just UI and a bunch of state. So that's why we're using some plain old vanilla Flutter.
Yep.
Okay, so it's still having some troubles. Check this out. It looks weird. That's like sometimes the cool thing is you can always roll back. So just chugging a prompt in there and maybe it will fix it. If not, and it makes it worse, we can roll back. If it's kind of
thinking what? It's saying a lot.
Yeah, it's thinking.
It's redoing it as a roll the dice game right now.
Yeah. That would be fun. Imagine just kind of reloading and you have like a completely different app in front of you.
Here's your 20-sided die.
Yeah. We are playing D&D now. Screw your card game. But yeah, it's actually, but that's a good point, incorrect use of parent data. I didn't notice this before. So yeah, that's a good hint. I should have given it. Data use. That's also why these are kind of, they're not applying their stack thingy. Yeah, I should have used the wide MCP. So this on the right is by the IDE that I'm working on, and it has an MCP connection to Cursor over here. So Cursor can actually place things on the canvas, hot reload, and do the thing. And the cool thing is, if it tries to hot reload, first off, it kind of gets issues. Like if you try to hot reload and there's an error, it will just get the error and fix it for you. But also if it places a widget on a canvas and there's some kind of error in the first couple of frames, it will also receive that error as a feedback and iterate on it. So we have to do less kind of manual work. Okay, but this is looking better. So it just messed up the canvas a bit. So over here, these are, okay, you see these are very much spaced apart. But if we scroll up, there's this max width that is approaching, and it kind of moves them closer together, which I like.
Oh, look at that. That's kind
interesting.
Only works once. Wait.
No, the thing is, it kind of pops up, but I don't really like this. It should maintain its position. But no, it's actually fine, but it just looks weird because the last card kind of keeps.
Yeah, what's going on with that last card? That's weird.
Let's check it out in this hand.
Yeah, last card trigger in there too.
For some reason, when moving the cursor away from a hovered card, last. Let's see.
Probably the idle state has to set things a certain way, and that's caught triggering an animation.
Could be, yeah.
Actually, it turns coding into a puzzle again, because it's like, I don't know what you did, but let me play pawn to queen 4 and see if that See if that gets me out of trouble.
Okay, but yeah, it did not help.
No.
So in this case, it did some code and it didn't fix the issue, and I don't know what it changed. I don't really want to review it because it didn't fix. I like to revert, but because sometimes it adds special conditions and tries to fix that bug by hard coding stuff. So obviously
Right.
failed. Let's go back to the latest checkpoint. I think the feature overall is pretty solid. So I'll just accept the file for now. This one's fine too, and we can check it out manually for a sec. So let's close this down. Just do a sanity check that it's not doing anything weird. We have a selected index. We have a hovering index. Wait, what does selected index mean? Can we select cards? Oh yeah, we can. Oh, check this out. So if a card is selected, that means it is kind of clicked, tapped. That's kind of weird. I mean, I like the concept, but it's...
You needed to make sounds when you do that. It goes beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, beep, boop. That'd be kind of cool.
I think... yeah, of course. I mean, we need to be able to select cards so we can actually play them. Okay, so here's the deal. I don't like our current system of playing cards. And I mean, eventually I would like it to kind of you being able to drag the card onto the playing field.
Yeah,
So I'm
that makes
just thinking, do we want to implement that now, or is this good enough? And like, okay, let's not implement that now because we're getting far too much off the track. I think we should continue implementing like a basic game. But yeah, eventually what I want to do is you should be able to grab this card, move it around, and if you let go on the canvas, it will kind of pop into play. That's how a kind of card game should be used on desktop. But yeah, I think we can do that later. Oh, random event. Oh no, someone used prod inside of dev while debugging and the database got cleared. You lost half your users. That's interesting. I didn't think of random events that could happen to you. I mean, potentially there could be cards which have a chance to kind of cause some bug, and this could be a bug that could be interesting, like or if you kind of lose something where you implement a feature but it is required for you to implement another feature this turn, because if you don't then something happens. So I'm just thinking how like these events could be fit into the system, but I like it. I really like some kind of, okay, you messed something up. Maybe that could be combined with the bug card somehow. But yeah, feel free to put it into a GitHub issue. If not, I'll note everything down that I see in chat later. 1/2 of new users in past X hours. Oh yeah. It could zoom in for the highlighted card maybe. Yeah, to see more detail. I thought about that, but again, I don't want to implement too much of the UX right now because I feel like that's a bit going more into the details. What I would like to do is if you maybe tap, it could become kind of full screen as a dialogue and you could have like more information. I think, not sure if Hearthstone does that, but sometimes you may need more information. But like you can only put so much text into one of these boxes. So sometimes if it's like more vague, you may want to have a better explanation, which I really don't like in games when they have like this very brief explanation of like a mechanic or feature, and then you just stand there and think, okay, what actually happens when I play this? I don't know. So maybe there could be some kind of feature that opens it up like as a dialogue that you can inspect it more. Okay, so we have a bunch of cards. So let's actually take a look at what these cards are. We can take a look at the main game wrapper. So the first card is it's just using all the cards. all card. Interesting. Okay, the first one is add a button card. So if we play this, oh, check this out, Randall. That looks
Whoa.
fancy.
Random stuff bouncing around.
But okay, that's fine for now. Okay, we have an add. This should do nothing, so there's no point in us playing it. I mean, these are feature cards, so we might as well just play them. Two feature. Oh, interesting. And the index didn't reset. Okay, so there's a bunch of work to do on these. Dark mode card. It doesn't do anything either. Ah, okay, because the AI doesn't know what these are supposed to do. I thought. Ah, okay, no, actually, I think the dark mode card is supposed to give you a card. So let me check the assets card. Dark mode. Yeah, okay. Let's tell the AI to create a new context. Implement dark mode according to. I think, like, again, all the effects and so on are very much subject to change, but I would like to just have everything in there, or something rather in there that works, and we can always adjust later on. So 1 sec, I'm getting a notification and my camera is low on battery. 1 sec.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm using my iPhone as using the continuity camera, which is very nice. But that means my iPhone's been running its camera for 2 hours now.
Oh yeah, that'll burn it. I have one of the Logitech Brios. They're pretty nice.
I should probably get one too. I mean, the MacBook camera isn't too bad, but it's not too good either for streaming.
I like the Brio because I can aim it separately from where my lid is on my laptop.
Oh, nice. Okay, this should work. I have so many gables floating around over here. So we have draw a card. We have context draw one card. That looks good to do. Apply forex multiplier. Modifier system. Okay, this is fine. I mean, the modifier system, whatever, would probably be too complicated for now. We haven't really spec'd it out. So I quite like it adding it to do instead of trying to kind of force it into the system, even though it's not really thought out too much.
Right.
So let's check. The third card is a dark mode card. So if we reload right now, let's do a full restart. So all the cards are for sure correct. We move over to, what is the circle doing over here? Huh, interesting. Anyways, so we move over here, and if we play this, we should be drawing a card. Okay, check the logs. Cannot draw card. Deck and discard piles are empty. This is correct. This is nice. And I really like that it's kind of adding logs for us to check what's going on. What we can do is in our wrapper over here, in the all cards deck, in the all cards test, add a deck that can be drawn from should be all dark theme cards. So yeah, this way we can test drawing cards. And yeah, it seems to work. It costs 3 hours to implement play, and it cost us 3 hours to do deck. Nice, looks good. Do a full restart again so it is correctly placed on the canvas. And now, if we do the dark mode play card, we got another dark mode and another one. So there's issues with the selection. So
it's random, kind of.
Basically, I think it's using some sort of index or maybe even a card. But if it's removed and a new one comes in, it might get confused. Also nice, we cannot play this anymore because it requires us to have 3 hours left and we only have one. And the cards themselves give on resolve do nothing. So if we release, we don't get any users. Also users reset for some reason, but that's what happens if we just play a bunch of cards. Okay, this is a bit weird what's going over here. If we release this, we get 1,000 users, more than that. Interesting context setting. Found 2 features left, gain 4,000 users, resolve a push notification, 10% user bonus gain. Nice. Current users 4,000. Handling unplayed bugs in hand. Aha, interesting. It actually also did the bugs. Told user applied, find users. Wow, okay, this seems to work. Like, obviously it looks a bit weird because we don't have all the assets in. So it's kind of like we're just playing weird cards. But I mean, this is kind of starting to become something that could resemble a game. How late is it? We've been streaming for 2 hours, 50 minutes. Let me check what else we have left. But yeah, I don't think we'll continue for too long. So Reynold, what do you think? So I think what could be possible is fixing the hand, which is kind of weird right now. We could, honestly, I don't want to work on these right now because I need to think about what the best way to implement these are. We could work on some animations. We could fix the playing field, which looks really weird right now. There's this kind of disappears when I scroll in. That's weird. There's this weird corner around it, and it's way too small. So I think we need some kind of dynamic playing area where if there's less cards, they may be bigger. If there's more cards, it may kind of shrink to fit the size. We could do animations, have some nice movements. We could also, I mean, that could be fun to kind of work on dragging the card so they can be played. I think that would greatly add to the user experience.
Yeah, I'm of the sort of first cut opinion that getting the plumbing working first, making sure that cards can be moved and that they have results when they land and that they can be selected and new draws can be pulled and things like get the mechanics working and with just enough UI to be able to invoke those things. And then once that's all working, then circle back and try to see what we need in terms of animations and stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, like we have the very basic plumbing working. So you can select a card, you can play it.
Yeah,
it had an effect, so it drew another card, which the animation just looks weird because it's in the same frame. It disappears and appears again. That's why it kind of looks very weird. And so we can play these cards, we can play that card, we can play this card, whatever it does, we can release, and then we have some effects. I don't know, like we are missing a bunch of assets right now. So probably for the next live stream, I'm gonna prepare all the assets for all the cards we have in there right now. So it's gonna be less confusing. Should the cards be removed from the deck if it's on the canvas? So you mean if you play the card in the sprint and then you release, should it go back into the deck or not? So that's kind of the question. Typically, deck builder games operate on the principle that you have a deck of cards that you draw from. Typically, you then discard all the cards that you haven't played that round, and then you have your discard pile. And once your draw pile is empty, the discard pile is being shuffled, and you have a new draw pile.
Yep.
That is kind of the coming from the game Dominion, which was one of the first kind of deck builder games. It's a really nice game. It's a physical board game that you can play with your friends. And it's on like the principle is that you play cards to achieve some kind of objective, but in the process of playing cards, you get new cards, you empower your cards. So you either get new cards which are just stronger and help you achieve your goal better, or you may remove cards which you don't like. And for example, if you have a card in your deck which is just bad, you want to remove it from your deck so you don't draw it later and you have less options and things to play. So I'm still thinking how that kind of makes sense in this whole development scenario and kind of theme, because it doesn't really make sense to re-implement the same feature multiple times. So for example, like, we still want to stay kind of in the context a bit. Sorry, I meant remove from the hand brown area. Yes, it should. Like, I think it's doing that already. It looks a bit weird because the dark mode one, if you play that, it actually draws a new one which just replaces it. So that's why it looks like it didn't disappear. So if you play this, it looks like it didn't disappear, but this actually disappeared and this one came into the hand. You can see this if we, for example, play this buggy card, it actually disappears. That's more of like missing assets and missing animations. But yeah, still, I'm still thinking about how the game should be played out, because it doesn't really make sense to have the same feature in there multiple times in the final app. But you still want some kind of deck progression where you want to improve your deck and you want better cards to play and better combos in later turns. So there's definitely a couple of systems that could be used. I was thinking maybe when you implement a feature card, it transforms into a new feature that is unlocked, kind of, that is then shuffled into your deck. So for example, if you implement dark theme, then maybe the next feature in that category could be animations or whatever. So that could be some kind of deck progression. Maybe you could do, maybe there's a set number of features in your app that just get like deleted, which you want to have, because the more other cards you have, the better it is. I'm not quite sure about that just yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's gonna be an issue for for future me. Okay, let's see. Honestly, I think it's the base plumbing works. It's just so confusing how these cards move around with kind of selecting and playing. I want to take a card, move it up, drop it on this kind of playing area and be played. So I think that's going to be the next thing. It should be fairly quick. Like, I think it should be a single prompt and it should work. What do you think, Randall?
Yeah,
Does
and
the AI?
if it's a good enough prompt, yeah.
Okay, let's see. This is a challenge. So I think we can get it.
Prompt, but it would just be a really huge.
Okay, let's see. Okay, let's implement dragging and dropping card from the hand onto. I don't want to call it playing area because we have a specific name for this. It's a sprint backlog widget onto. I've played Slay the Spire before, which for those who haven't.
But wait, isn't the sprint backlog widget just the deck of cards at the top? Wouldn't you want to count it even if you just drew the card and dropped it in the middle of the white?
Oh, interesting. Yeah. But then again, maybe the white should be all the backlog widget. So this could be a stack, this whole thing. And the backlog widget could take up all the space, and this is just on top.
I'm just saying that if I have to drag that card all the way up to where the other card is and be tried to be adjacent to it or whatever, that's going to be awkward.
Make sure the backlog widget takes up all the space above that desk. Cool. So just because I mentioned it, this is Slay the Spire, which is like also a roguelike deck building game where you fight monsters with a deck of cards. That is kind of the UX I'm going for. You have these hands, a card in your hand, and you can, using your mouse, grab one of these and kind of you also have to aim, like not aim, but if you have damaging cards like this one, Zap. So you have to kind of start dragging the card, then an arrow kind of shows up and points towards your cursor, and then you have to select the enemy that you want to attack. Let me see if I can find a screenshot of this. We obviously don't really need an arrow, but maybe at some later point there may be some mechanic where you can play a card and that points to some other cards. You may want to fix one bug in the sprint backlog, and you have to kind of drag it on top of the card that you want to fix.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is kind of the UX that I was aiming for.
Cool.
But yeah, so it should take up all the space at the top. Let's also give it some context. Card hand, sprint backlog, and also give it the main game screen. I was also thinking for visualization purposes and for debugging, we may want to have a flag if we want to show debug information. So I'm just thinking maybe we want to highlight the backlog widget whenever it's kind of receiving or like being hovered over. I'm not sure if that's necessary though.
It might be dragging the card that as you start to move the card, you activate like a boundary around the possible drag targets. So
yes,
should go with that. I mean, if you really are telling them to drag it up into the actual deck or on one of the cards of the deck, then that should be highlighted as a different border color or something.
Yes. Though for now, I think it's enough if you can just drag it onto the backlog and it's going to be placed at the very right. So I think right now we don't have a notion of kind of combining it with another card. So I think it should be enough to kind of just move it onto there. But later on, yeah, I think for sure we will need something like this. Take up all the space above the desk, blah, blah, blah. Well, I think that's actually it. Remove the play selected card as playing a card is now. Let's try. Let's see what it comes up with. So I would expect it to use some kind of overlay, probably. Yeah, I mean, Hero is something completely different. Is there another system that I could think of? Yeah, probably some kind of overlay. So it's removing the selected index because there is no more notion of select. Oh yeah, of course it can use the draggable widget, which makes sense. It's using the feedback. Yeah, for sure. Changing some random magic numbers around, which is always fun. It's always it's also interesting that it kind of adds comments in some earlier iteration and at some later point it removes them. So I'm not quite sure what the idea behind that is.
That's so it doesn't mislead you with bad comments.
So with the sprint backlog, it is wrapping that in a drag target with a card drag data. That actually doesn't look too bad. Solid. Oh, it removed this huge chunk. I guess that looks good to me.
Yep.
But
there are many entries in the daily WTF which show some piece of very confusing code and then a completely unrelated, weirdly left over comment from probably the way it used to be. Also, the same chunk of code, which won't make it together at all. So it's probably trying to prevent that. It's probably trying to get rid of the comments that might not make sense anymore.
Yes, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so let's check this out. I'm curious.
Yeah, did it do it? Did it do it?
Okay, I'm so curious. Okay, we have the card here to play. Okay. We can still select. Okay, it kind of broke the max width, I feel.
Okay, yeah.
Or it did not. No, I think it's just not too many cards, so it's actually kind of, or maybe it passed the higher max width, but
Ooh.
yeah.
What? It just it doesn't adjust the shape well enough, I guess. Uh-oh. It just
Yeah,
lets
well,
you
this it doesn't have energy anymore, so this is expected. Maybe there
Oh,
needs to be some sort of UI that kind of shows, okay, this cannot be played anymore. But what happened?
got an issue with scaling. Too many magic numbers removed.
But this is actually not an issue in the hand, but rather the sprint backlog.
Yep.
Fixed. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get more information at that. It should be enough.
Wow. It has quite a response to fixing that.
Okay, let's see what it came up with. Wow.
Back to green. That doesn't help, but
Oh yeah. Okay. It needs a bit more context. The cards are cut off. Release. And so now if we play a dark card, wait, so what happened? What is going on?
it's another one in the hand. Oh, it's probably cards it drew.
I mean, we are getting / losing users, so something is happening. Yeah. Let's reload. Do we need to do a full re? What is going on? Okay, we don't have more energy over here. Why is this happening? Sprint backlog widget. It's still weird for this. Okay, let's just tell it to do it again. Or is it? Yeah, this is sprint backlog widget. Oh, wait a sec. We can actually do this. To fix this, create a wrapper for sprint backlog widget using byte MCP and test. I'm using byte MCP, that's enough. Yeah, we don't have a wrapper for it, and this is required to place it on the canvas. We have game card, user account, main game screen, but not the backlog widget. So now we'll create this wrapper. Interesting. Does it require a sprint backlog which it requires a game controller? I mean, I guess that's fine because it's a rather complicated widget. Place it. Why didn't place it? Sometimes it gets a bit lazy. So that's quite fun, though. I'm not sure if that's the best way to do it, and I will probably change it later on. The way I implemented the MCP and to kind of pass it instructions is that every call to the MCP requires an authentication code, and the authentication code is just 42. So verification code, there it is.
Yeah,
But it doesn't know that, and to get that, it has to read the usage instructions. And the usage instructions, like the description of this tool, is if you want the authentication code, call this function. So basically what I'm doing is kind of forcing it to read how Vite works first before trying to access and use tools with it. And in here, it's like a bunch of stuff, how it's supposed to do code, and then use verification code for it too in subsequent tool calls, which I found quite fun to implement it this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it needs a couple of rounds with this. I need to update the MCP at some point. I'm not sure if the tool definition is wrong or well, what's going on. Now, yeah, I forgot to reload first. Okay, widget placed successfully. So where did it place it to? Okay, this actually looks nice. So this should also look interesting. So the widget itself, the backlog widget thing, looks normal. Okay. But for some reason, the sprint backlog widget. Oh, interesting. Oh, wait. Can we actually take a card from here and place it over here? No, we cannot. Can we? No, I think that's not how it's supposed to be. Okay, for some reason, oh, why is it? Oh, for some reason, the backlog widget itself is fine, but in this context, it's not. So let's just take this. Back widget seems fine on its own, but if it's on the aspect ratio is weird. Okay, let's see what is going on. Let's see what the issue is. It kind of forced its size to fill the whole thing, and that's why the aspect ratio breaks. I see the issue. Make sure the what is called the sprint backlog widget centers its cards and still fills up in main game screen. So I think this should fix the issue. It's just some weird Flutter sizing. Yeah, but this is, we need to adjust the max width. This is kind of weird. Maybe it's just not correctly setting it. So yeah, this is kind of stuff you have to worry about. Like if you have no clue what's going on, this might be weird. Why is this breaking? Why is this not? But I just suspect it's just missing some sort of max width in this instance. But these are things that, I mean, at the end of the day, you as a developer have to watch out for. Yeah, check this out. This is exactly what we want. This is rather nice. For some reason, the state resets whenever I tap outside, but I think that should be an issue on my side with Vite and not the app itself, so that should be all right. So yeah, we can now play cards. We can release.
Right.
It is being resolved. Yeah, so yeah, of course, there's lots of issues with the UI, with kind of the game itself. But I feel like this is kind of the beginning, and this is getting the plumbing and groundwork ready. So yeah, I think this is actually a pretty good point to slowly wind down the stream. We did a bunch of progress, so just just to recap, we implemented a very weird looking, and this will need to be updated, this timer widget, which kind of, I mean, it gets a point across, and this user widget, which is also weird. We had troubles with the center slice that we need to fix, or maybe just re-implement these widgets in Flutter using custom paint, which is also very doable because these are very simple objects. We adjusted the hand to kind of hover and highlight the widget, and I really like how it handled it. Like, it feels really natural to look at all the cards. This I really like. Yeah, we can play cards by dragging and dropping them in, and we also implemented releasing, so we can actually get the stuff resolved. We have our on play effects, we have our on resolve effects. So yeah, this one is on resolve gain 100 users. So if we play this and release, okay, this is awkward, we have 0 users. But maybe that just was missed in the implementation. Or never mind. Check this out. We had unresolved bugs in our hand when we released. So that meant we lost 2,500 users, but we cannot have less than 0 users. That's why we still have 0 users. So this seems to all work. Next up is, I think, kind of getting all the card assets in and actually having a diverse set of cards. And yeah, just doing a bit more polish, and then we can just do more content. Hey Simon, welcome back.
We're waiting for a good time to come back.
Yeah,
when you end.
We're about to wrap up, but just check this out. So
I've been watching. I've been watching.
Nice. So yeah, this just feels so much better now. It has issues. It's not perfect. There's a bunch to adjust here, but it kind of gets the job done. Right? If I go to this other thing, we have unresolved gain 100 users. So if we play this and release, we have 200 users.
Nice.
And if we play 2 of these, we have 400 users. And if we play one of these, we draw another card. But because we don't have any decks in our card, check this out. Context drawing 1 card, cannot draw card, deck and discard piles are empty. So that looks good to me.
Nice.
Yeah, next week, polishing animations, getting all the assets in, actually having cards which make sense. And I think I need to just kind of figure out how to do the progression part, how the deck actually gets stronger, how you build up those nice combos that every deck builder player is trying to achieve. Yeah,
it's getting there.
It's getting there.
Right. Well, I'll do my bit here and say you need to subscribe to this very channel, and then you'll get notifications about following shows that we'll be doing. This coming week, there'll be plenty more content coming from this channel, so stay tuned. And I guess we'll see you same time, same place next week.
Yes.
Bye everyone. Bye.
Bye.